This is 4.2, Slope of a Line, Part 1. We know that we have points given in the form x, y. X is always first and y is always second. If we were going to plot this point, we would go over, side to side, x number of units, and then go up, y number of units. So if I plot the point 7, 4, I go over to 7, then up to 4, and put the dot. Here, if I choose some other point, x, y, and I connect them with a line, I would have a graph that looks like this. So a line is when we have two or more points connected and they make a straight line. Now we have slope, and slope is the value of the ratio of the change in y to the change in x. It measures how steep is that line. So we're looking for a fraction that's going to tell us how far up for how far wide to go from one point to the next. And we call this rise over run. And the rise is the change in y, so how far are we going up and down, over the change in x, so how far are we going side to side. And we can find this using a formula, which is m equals slope. In other formulas that we're going to see, m is always slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And these little sub-numbers show which point they come from. So the y value from point 2 minus the y value from point 1 over the x value from point 2 minus the x value from point 1. If we get lines with a positive slope, they're going to rise from left to right. So they will point up and to the right. Lines with a negative slope will fall from left to right, so they will point down to the right. And we read them from left to right. So this points up and this one points down. So I have the graph here with the points 3, 2, and 2, 0. And if I'm finding slope, I'm going to take my formula and plug in the numbers. So this is point 1 and this is point 2. I chose point 1 to be the point on the left and point 2 to be the one on the right. So y from point 2 is this 2, and y from point 1 is 0. Then I have x from point 2 minus x from point 1. So 2 minus 0 is 2, and 3 minus 2 is 1. And so my slope is 2. That means to go from one point to the next, I go up 2 units to the right 1. That is rise over run. Now here I have my graph with points -3, 4, and 2, -1. And I'm finding slope, so I'm finding rise over run. I could count it, and it's going to be negative because it points down. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking for something that should be like 5 over 5. So plugging in my points to the formula, we have point 1 and point 2. Point 1 I put on the left, and point 2 is the one on the right. So the y from point 2 is -1, and the y from point 1 is 4. X from point 2 is 2, and x from point 1 is -3. So this is -1 going further -4 to get -5. And 2 minus a -3, when we minus a negative, that is the same as adding. So 2 plus 3 is 5. -5 over 5 is -1. Negative checks out because I know that it is pointing down. And the 1, we found that because it was going to be 5 over 5.